Part 180. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1794. What's going on? All the advantages we had before were actually beaten back by a mere Orion arm. In the starry sky, many members of the Orion arm, the 16 major starfield coalition forces, or the surrounding starfield powerhouses were watching the Orion arm's defense against the enemy. Each of them originally believed that the Orion arm would definitely lose, and the defeat would be very, very miserable. It is impossible for most people to have a complete understanding of the 16th Allied forces. But most powerful people or forces still know the existence of some of them, so many people put it together. Very good. The 16 major coalition forces are actually relatively powerful galaxy-level starfields in the surrounding starry sky. In other words, there is a galaxy-level person behind these 16 coalition forces. Even within the existence of the 16 major coalition forces, there is a force that has a strong man who has reached the middle level of the galaxy. So how can the Orion arm win? Even if it can resist for a while, it will still be defeated steadily. The previous situation has also proved that the Orion arm is like a baby in the opponent's eyes. Every front army seemed to be playing house when dealing with the Orion arm, and no one even used 100% of their strength. But now, the situation is a little different. The weak soldiers in the Orion arm learned some kind of military joint fighting plan, and this joint fighting plan was extremely powerful. Many soldiers in the Orion arm became very powerful after learning this plan. That fierceness is still talking about the strength of a single person. If we talk about the strength of fighting together, these Orion arm strongmen have actually reached the ability to jump to the next level to fight. This is no joke. The Orion arm will lose. The previous biggest disadvantage was precisely because there were too few strong men in the Orion arm. Let alone ordinary strong men, even if there were top strong men, they would be short of the opponent. But now things are changing. Although there are fewer ordinary strong men in the Orion arm, the overall number is still very large, especially the sky level, starry sky level, etc. The number is unimaginable. It's just that there are too many weak ones, and it won't have much effect on an army or an interstellar war. But the Orion arm changed this situation. A heaven-level practitioner of Yin-Yang Dao seems to be very powerful, especially the unique explosive positive and negative power of Yin-Yang Dao, which has greatly overwhelmed the enemy. But once the practitioners of Yin and Yang Dao join forces and the number reaches 2, or even 3, or even more, then their strength actually becomes more than just 1 + 1 = 2. But it has reached the point where 1 + 1 exceeds 5. Even if the number is larger, if there are more than 10 people joining forces, then the strength of this joining forces will show a qualitative change. That is, users of Yin and Yang Dao will have the ability to kill enemies beyond levels. Heaven level, as long as there are more than 10 people, the starry sky level can be easily killed. Isn't this an exaggeration? Very good. Then if the heaven level increases to 30 or 50 people, their Yin-Yang Dao strength will actually reach the level where it is possible to kill a venerable. Is this an exaggeration? Shocking exaggeration. A heaven level person is no better than an ant in the eyes of a venerable level person. However, when they join forces, they can actually kill a venerable level person in the presence of dozens of people. This is absolutely absolute. Sensational stuff. So with such conditions, the Orion arm is really a bit scary now. If they move in groups at the heaven level, as long as they don't face strong men above the semi-star level, they will be invincible. And even if a semi-star level expert comes out, what they will face will be a joint battle at the venerable level. Of course, if the starry sky class joins forces, they will also have the opportunity to face the semi-star class, but the strength gap is really too big. If they are hit by a brainwave force from the half-star class, there may be casualties, so the starry sky class will deal with the semi-star class. It was still a bit difficult, but not to mention that Sean Kong was not strong enough. They joined forces and easily killed the Venerable. There are not so many Venerable level powerful beings in the Orion arm, but the total number can still exceed the half-star level in the 16th Allied Forces. And if they join forces, the 16th Allied Forces will half-stars were constantly being killed and injured, and even if the Orion arm side was defeated, there would still be Venerable level ones escaping, and then the number would wax and wane like this, gradually leaning towards the Orion arm side. As for the stellar level, there are still very few stellar level experts appearing today, and there are no semi-stellar level joint teams from the Orion arm. So everyone thinks that neither side has expanded the war to the stellar level. Idea. Because once you reach the stellar level, you are not far from the galaxy level. At least for now, the 16th Allied Forces do not want to be forced to use stellar combat power, because it was a period of all-out war, and Jia Yan's movements are still unclear, so they do not want to be involved in such a situation. In this case, use all your combat power against the Orion arm. However, the current war situation still makes a group of galaxy-level beings feel a little uncomfortable. In their opinion, although the 16th Allied Forces sent by themselves and others are not the strongest army under their command, it is at least impossible for the 16th Galaxy-level Allied Forces to come forward and crush the Orion arm in one go. Feeling like losing. Now there is a hint of this, which is a bit unacceptable to these Galaxy-class people whose face is more important than their lives. Let's have a meeting. Yes, I also think a meeting is needed. This Orion arm is a bit beyond our expectations. No, shouldn't this mean that Jia Yan is a bit beyond our expectations? Yes, this is actually what he did behind the scenes, because this Yin and Yang Dao is his own cultivation secret book, and he can actually teach it to the weak ones below, and the effect is pretty good. This Jia Yan is worthy of being a member of the evolutionary beast clan. Okay, don't praise him. We are not here to hear everyone praise him. Now let's think about how to deal with him. Among the stars, in a huge battleship, the technological virtual phantoms of 16 terrifying powerful men appeared. These 16 beings are the ones who can control the wind and rain in many surrounding star fields. They are galaxy-level creatures, the most supreme beings standing in the entire starry sky. And the reason why these 16 major creatures appeared today was actually because of Jia Yan. Or maybe it's because of the mere Orion arm. Originally, they thought that they could just sit back and wait in the starry sky until their fleet subordinates forced Jia Yan out of their lair, and then they could all take action to capture or kill Jia Yan. Unexpectedly, the respective fleets that originally thought they could win easily ended up in a bitter battle. This is difficult for them to accept. If Jia Yan hadn't been a troublemaker, the two previous friends wouldn't have died in his hands. You know, he has killed several galaxy-level people. Isn't this enough to show how terrifying he is? Everyone don't underestimate him. Just because he was able to research this new type of cultivation method and create a way for the weak to join forces and become stronger, I admire him. I admire you too, but I won't give up what I want. Yes, no matter how good the talent is, the evolved beast is the evolved beast, and it is the nourishment for us ordinary strong men. Haha, rather than admiring it, it is more interesting to say this. Yes, in short, no matter how powerful he is, in front of our 16th galaxy level, he is basically a chicken and a dog. Well, let's wait and see and think of a way to break their Orion arm alliance. If there is really no way, then send someone to come forward and solve the combat problem. Okay, just send one person as bait, and the rest of us will hide in the dark. When Jia Yan makes any movement, we can take action together to capture or kill him. Okay, just do as you say. A group of galaxy-level people are considered to be very efficient beings. Their conversation didn't take long, and they quickly agreed on a countermeasure. Next, the already gloomy Orion arm star territory suddenly became turbulent. Because, everyone found that the stellar powerhouses in the 16th Allied Forces seemed to be ready to go out. Several major front armies said that they had discovered suspected extremely powerful people in the enemy's fleet. Although there is no contact or combat, there are still many powerful existences that are releasing the power of brain waves. And the level of these powers has completely reached the stellar level. In the subspace, Jia Yan silently read the information in his hand, and then he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Sure enough, they are still here. Are the galaxy-level people in these 16 major coalition armies going to be unable to sit still? Jia Yan doesn't just look at the star level. For him, his enemy will always be the galaxy level. No matter how many star levels and powerful ones below, they are just clouds. This must be the same for other galaxy-level powerhouses. The galaxy level, and the star level or semi-star level powerhouses below, are all godlike existences. In the face of this kind of strength, the number of people is already irrelevant. So Jia Yan was watching the situation, and after discovering that the enemy's star class was preparing to go on stage, he knew that there must be a Star River class on the opponent's side who was already ready to move and get ready to board the big stage of this huge battle. There shouldn't be all 16 of them on the field, because they don't have the need to do this. The final target of these guys is me. By this time, Jia Yan had of course already investigated clearly. The enemy's 16 major coalition forces all came from the 16 star fields far away around the Orion Arm, and they were all star fields with galaxy-level commanders. The coalition forces in these star fields traveled long distances, some even spanning thousands of light years. This is why, just after Jia Yan was promoted to galaxy, they started taking action, but under the current circumstances, they only walked to the Orion Arm and started a battle with the Orion Arm. And Jia Yan knew even more that the target of their coming attack might not be the Orion Arm itself, because he didn't think that the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory alone would be worthy of such a big fight. The only reason is because of himself. Although Jia Yan still can't figure out what he has that is worthy of so many galaxy levels, what everyone wants to get, and even the 16 major galaxy levels have joined forces for this purpose. But, haha, if you take action, I won't take action. Besides, the longer the time is delayed, the worse it will be for you, because you have no idea how fast a galaxy-level evolutionary beast can progress. Jia Yan felt a little funny about the enemy's carelessness. If the opponent was a being who had studied evolved beasts, then they should know that evolved beasts after the galaxy level are more terrifying creatures. As an evolved beast, he had researched the existence of a new type of cultivation law on his own before reaching the galaxy level, and it may be more terrifying than other evolved beasts. So for Jia Yan, the enemy is a bit stupid, maybe because they are too confident. That's right, there must be one galaxy-level mid-level creature among them. As for whether there are two, I don't know. Since there is one galaxy-level mid-level creature, they have nothing to fear. And even if it's me, but I don't know how I can deal with this mid-level galaxy when the primary level of galaxy has just stabilized. Jia Yan thought about the information he knew, but he didn't have any overly nervous thoughts next. Because he was preparing some big gifts in the subspace, and they were aimed at the mid-level galactic beings who were more powerful than him. He even had the attack power of great explosive power obtained on the white dwarf star. These powers were very powerful for Jia. It was the most terrifying display of strength for Yan Lai, so he didn't think he had anything to worry about. Perhaps those 5 years of training on the white dwarf were not in vain. Jia Yan continued to fall into silence silently, waiting. The enemy's situation was far more complicated than Jia Yan thought. The situation of the war is also changing day by day. And one day, haha, what we see in front of us is a half-star powerhouse. They know that we have a joint secret technique that can deal with half-star power, but they still dare to show up. It means they are brave. Or should I say they are brainless. A few of us, some of our venerables are just about to deal with him. Come on, take care of this half-star, and we can get the medal issued by the army. Medal? It's getting harder and harder to get it now. In the past, you could get the medal by joining forces to kill an ordinary half-star. Now you need 10. It seems that fewer and fewer people get the medal now. Isn't this one? Let's go in and there will be 5 after we kill them. Yeah, hurry up, come on, kill and end the battle. Huh? It seems like there is a little shadow feeling around this half-star. What is this? Let me take a look. Not good. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1795. Yes, it's a star-level powerhouse. Run away. A star-level powerhouse is here. Boom. When the venerable level team that was chasing a semi-star level powerhouse discovered that a creature that was several kilometers in size appeared next to the chasing half-star level powerhouse, everyone was shocked. Because they know that this is a star-level powerhouse. If faced with a half-star level being, the venerable level yin-yang dao joint attack may still have a certain killing ability. No matter how bad it is, there is still a chance of escape. But if you encounter a star-level strong person, it will be completely there is no chance of survival. They didn't even dare to fight and quickly retreated to escape. After all, there seems to be only one level difference between stellar level and semi-stellar level, but in fact, the difference between the two levels is definitely not as simple as imagined on the surface. Stellar level powerhouses already belong to a dominant position in the universe. Their strength can be described as destroying the world. Ha, since I'm here, you all can stay with me. The star-level existence smiled coldly, and then he used his brainwave power. Amidst the earth-shattering explosions, several of the Orion Arm's rare venerable level teams died like this. This is the first time that the Orion Arm has formed a small venerable level team that died after developing the yin-yang dao joint trick. What? We have a venerable level team in the Orion Arm. Have we lost contact? Impossible. The strongest person currently appearing in the enemy is a half-star level existence. Even a creature that has reached the peak of half-star level existence. These small venerable level teams use joint defense and escape speed tricks. There is still a certain chance of escape, no matter how bad it is, there won't be any news, right? Then there is only one explanation for the situation, and that is that what they encountered was not a half-star powerhouse, but... Is it a stellar level? Sure enough, a stellar level has appeared. As for the Orion Arm, every high-level executive looked froze after learning about the disappearance of the venerable level team, because they knew that this was the real beginning of this war. To many powerful civilizations, an interstellar war in which the stellar class does not participate is like a child playing house. And the other party has now sent out stellar-level experts, which shows that they are starting to prepare for serious action. Humph, the enemy's number of star classes must far exceed ours. Even if most of the star classes in their star field are still staying in this star field, as long as some of them come, the stars in the 16 star fields will be destroyed. The total number of levels is definitely a staggering number for us, so it is absolutely impossible for us to beat them at the star level, so what should we do now? Jia Yan was hiding in the subspace and received similar information. In other words, the senior officials who commanded the battle in the interstellar world had no choice but to pass the news to Jia Yan immediately. Facing the stellar class, these Orion Arm executives, who had fairly good command, had no choice but to do anything. If the strong man in the universe were so easy to deal with, he wouldn't be the strong man in the universe. These commanders have no way to deal with such a large number of stellar enemies. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are helpless. Has the stellar level appeared? Jia Yan has long expected that the enemy will have a star-level warrior. He even knows that as long as his joint combat method is used by his Orion Arm army, then the emergence of a star-level warrior is only a matter of time. That's all. But I didn't expect that it would appear so quickly and so early. My strength has not continued to rise until now. It is still very dangerous to face a group of galaxy-level sieges. So now, I can't directly fight in person, so I need to use some more delaying tactics. Jia Yan has been thinking about what if the enemy uses tactics that are as strong as a star, or even as strong as a star or above. But in fact, as mentioned in the preface, star-level beings are already very remarkable creatures in the universe. Even if they are not as noble and powerful as Jia Yan, they are at the overlord level. There are not many ways to deal with star level, and the few methods that are available are impossible for Jia Yan. Do you really want me to fight? But if I fight, the enemy's galaxy class will take the opportunity to attack me. If it doesn't work, the enemy will no longer worry about it, but will attack with great fanfare. This will affect the situation. In other words, it's not a good thing. Jia Yan thought a lot silently. After all, for him, war and other things have long been something he is used to, so his thinking is still very fast, and the main points he has determined are also very correct. The enemy's goals are becoming more and more obvious now, because if they really covet certain resources of the Orion Arm, they would have made demands long ago, but now they have not said it, and they are constantly testing to get the strong men of the Orion Arm to come forward. The level of war has been pulling up to the top strong ones. The target of this approach can be discovered by anyone with a discerning eye. It is really to lure Jia Yan to appear. I can't go out. If I go out and I'm not sure about fighting them or even about escaping, then I'm not helping but doing a disservice. Although Jia Yan knew that his combat power was completely superior to other strong men in the Orion Arm, there were still many galaxy-level beings outside the Orion Arm, each of which had a certain strength against him, so he also understood that if he came forward and was besieged by a galaxy-class enemy with an extremely large number of enemies, then he would have to experience the feeling of being besieged by the enemy, which was extremely dangerous. Moreover, losing or being beaten away by the enemy is not only not a good thing, but also an extremely bad thing for the Orion Arm's war, because the Orion Arm will have no use value and will be immediately attacked by the enemy with all its strength. After all, even if Jia Yan has confidence in the yin and yang Dao cultivation method he created for the army, he still understands that as long as the enemy's high-end combat power comes on stage, there is no way the Orion Arm can resist. So, I can never go to the battlefield, so now I can fight against the enemy's star level. After Jia Yan thought about it, he suddenly thought of the most suitable candidates. The so-called Jia Yan team. Jia Yan thought of his familiar subordinates. These subordinates have been following Jia Yan since the stellar battlefield, and after arriving in the Orion Arm, they have been working diligently to help Jia Yan maintain the order of the Orion Arm and the safety of the Orion Arm. They can be regarded as very good subordinates. But they are still just subordinates in Jia Yan's hands. Although they are a relatively powerful group of subordinates, to Jia Yan, they are still just some cards to use. Therefore, Jia Yan is now going to use them. Laurency, you all go out to fight and arrange it for me. I think your current strength should be enough to deal with most of the mid-level stars, and you also have the unique skills to join forces, although I don't think you will join forces. If you come, you can deal with the Galaxy class, but I think if the three of you join forces, it should not be a problem to deal with the existence of a star peak, so that the combat power of 3 star peaks will be there. Jia Yan sent a message to Luo Longxi. Received reply quickly. That's right, sir, although you haven't seen our strength, we have been practicing very hard. Everyone knows that Sir Jia Yan needs useful subordinates, and we have not fallen behind in cooperating with you. Although the joint moves we used this time are no longer useful to us, by analogy, we have all mastered new ideas, so our strength should also be improved. According to what you said, 3 people can deal with an existence at the top of a star. I think we can give it a try. Luo Longxi very much agreed with Jia Yan's words, and it seemed that she was also worried about the changes in the situation. A strong person who dares not go to the battlefield cannot be said to be a strong person. At least in Jia Yan's team, there seems to be no worry about going to the battlefield. No, it should be said that there has been one before, that is, the old monster who followed Jia Yan before. I don't know how this guy is doing now. Has he succeeded in renewing his life? Thinking of these things, Jia Yan was a little confused, but fortunately he responded immediately, and then immediately issued a transfer order to Luo Longxi and others, and at the same time arranged for 3 of them to join together in one place. So not long after, the entire Orion Arm coalition was shaken a bit. Because in the Orion Arm alliance, the most powerful master is not Jia Yan, because Jia Yan doesn't care at all and will not appear in everyone's eyes. In front of everyone, the strongest and most reliable members of the Orion Arm army are the senior leaders from Jia Yan's team. They are extremely powerful and can always solve most problems. What I didn't expect was that when the situation started to change again, the senior leaders of Jia Yan's team gave up their affairs one by one and moved quickly to a certain direction. And their work is naturally handed over to other subordinates who are slightly weaker than themselves and have less reputation. No one knows where these adults from Jia Yan's team have gone. And while many subordinates were guessing something, on a certain battlefield, several semi-star level experts joined forces to fight against a star level being. Half-star level is already considered a very terrifying existence in the Orion Arm. They are at least masters of a small civilization level, or even the rulers of a civilization. But in this battlefield, 2 half-star masters within Orion's arms have died. Because they were facing an enemy that had reached the stellar level, they would definitely suffer huge losses even if they didn't die. Moreover, although this group of semi-star level beings also had some yin-yang dao joint techniques in their movements, in fact, they had only learned a small part of the joint techniques. Unlike other levels where it is relatively easy to learn yin and yang dao and join forces, it is not that simple for these semi-star powerhouses from the Orion Arm to completely convert energy. After all, they are half-star level. Ha ha ha, when you guys showed up, I was really shocked. I didn't expect that Orion's arms would even have semi-star level coexistences like you, but, you guys kind of let me down, it seems. It seems to be quite powerful, but the combat power is far less powerful than joining forces at other levels. Does this mean that your combined skills are useless at the semi-star level? The star level being suddenly stirred up a missing area where the half-star level people joined forces, causing a half-star level strongman to fly backwards with blood spurting from his mouth. But even so, his attack did not destroy the entire defense network. Although this star class looked down upon this semi-star class's way of joining forces, at this moment, he still showed a hint of shock. It's scary. I actually know in my heart that these guys' cultivation has not completely followed the yin and yang dao's joint skills, because they don't have much time at all. But even then, this group of half-stars, only 15 or 6, can actually resist my attack. This is very unbelievable for us stars. As a star, although it is not a terrifying star, this star believes that he has reached the average level, but now he cannot even break through the combined strength of more than 12.5 stars. This is something very unbelievable to him. But that was it. When he launched the attack and continued to attack the semi-star powerhouse on the other side with concentrated firepower. Boom! Above the Interstellar, 12.5 star level defenses had broken through a corner. Ha ha ha, you are nothing more than this. Now, die for me. This star level being burst into laughter for an instant. Next, he used his brainwave power to break through the defenses. This group of half-stars had no chance of resistance. Level killing. He was thinking that he might have a lot of merits. After all, this was the first time that the semi-star yin and yang dao appeared in the Orion Arm. This made many people in the 16th Alliance think that yin and yang dao were only it can be displayed in the hands of a low-level strong person, but it is impossible for a stronger one to use such a powerful level. Nowadays, this group of half-stars has displayed a half-star yin and yang dao. This is also important information for them. Just when this stellar powerhouse was about to kill a group of Orion Arm semi-star powerhouses in front of him in one fell swoop. Puff. A slight sound sounded behind this stellar being. Well. The expression of the star who was just about to launch an attack suddenly froze. Team Jiayan, please come. Before that, he only heard this word. Then he opened his eyes, as if he thought of something, but he could no longer say the words. He could only accept the result of death helplessly. He knew that even if he died without a hit, it would only be a matter of time due to the strength of this Comer. Even they have been sent out, Jiayan, you should get out of here yourself, I'm waiting for you. This dead star still had a smile on his face even after he died. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1796. If there is any group of people within the Orion Arm whose reputation is striving to catch up, it is almost exclusively below the giant mosquito. Then we must talk about everyone in the Jiayan team. Their strength, opportunities to appear in front of the media and the public, as well as the work they do and the depth of contact with ordinary people far exceed that of Jiayan, the nominal supreme leader of the Orion Arm. After all, Jiayan is a dragon that has always been seen but not seen, and these people live in front of the ordinary people of Orion Arm. There are even many film and television works within the Orion Arms that involve filming their stuff. For example, in some of the Love Starfield themes that have become popular throughout Orion, even members of the Jiayan team appeared in their true roles, which earned them incredible attention and love. If we want to use this metaphor, then Jiayan is like the supreme commander among the gods. He is sacred and powerful, but because he is too powerful, he is completely disconnected from ordinary people. But for his 9 subordinates, this is not the case at all. Each of them is in charge of a star field or an important department, and has a high chance of showing up in public. In addition, they are so powerful, so their reputation within the Orion Arm is really high. Unlike Jiayan's sense of inviolability, their reputation is one of complete love. But today, this group of people, who have always had a high reputation but rarely took action, and had no performance in this war, took action themselves. And once he takes action, he will kill the star level. They are both at the star level, so no one doubts the strength of this group of star level experts in Jiayan's team. Their strength has been verified through previous battles. Boom. The person who took action was not even an adult from Jiayan's team. In the starry sky, waves of explosions were heard. You, actually took action yourself. To the people in the Orion Arm, Jiayan's team is like a god. Generally speaking, they will never take action easily. But if they do, it will not only be a big deal for the people in the Orion Arm, but also for the people in the Orion Arm. For the creatures of the 16th Root Allied Forces who already knew the name of Jiayan's team, this was also a big deal. Haha, just die. If you take action, then Jiayan will definitely be unable to sit still. If he dares to show up in the future, it will be his death, period. A star-level expert who was injured and on the verge of death did not feel the slightest fear of his imminent death. He just cursed and expressed malice towards the senior member of Jiayan's team who killed him in front of him. He knew that the star-level experts in Jiayan's team were far from being comparable to ordinary star-level players like himself. But since these few had appeared, it would definitely not be far from Jiayan's personal appearance. When the time comes, this is the day of Jiayan's death. The creatures from Jiayan's team who killed him will never be able to escape. After all, behind them is a creature that has reached the level of 16 galaxies, which is almost irresistible to all stars. Humph, you're already dead, and you still want to threaten us. It was the cowherd who killed this star at will. On the surface, this subordinate is known as the strongest in Jiayan's team, and he will always kill the enemy with one blow. Celestial cowherd, let's go. There seems to be a star looming ahead. If he dares to appear, we will kill him. Good. To be honest, every strong person in Jia Yan's team doesn't like to settle in one place. Just because they followed Jia Yan wanted to develop his own Orion arm, so they paid more attention to the Orion arm development. If they had so easily accepted a star field as their base, they would not have gone to the God Star to work hard and be taken back by Jia Yan as their subordinates. But in order to follow Jia Yan and learn his yin and yang dao, these subordinates had already given up their own ideas. They would do whatever Jia Yan asked them to do, just to get more opportunities for advancement. The actual situation is also good. The yin and yang Tao that Jia Yan taught them will be of great benefit to everyone's future. Even Tianyi Alang and Luo Longxi seem to have become geniuses who can kill enemies by leaps and bounds. Of course, each of their 9 existences has its own characteristics. It is even hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker, because everyone has developed their own unique trump card due to the yin and yang dao. Oh, I didn't expect that after so many years, ordinary stars are no longer our enemies. How dare you imagine this if you didn't follow Master Jia Yan back then? That is, if I were still hanging around in the stellar battlefield, I might still be a primary star being. Maybe a more powerful primary star warrior could kill me, but now I can kill him casually. Being able to kill a star at its primary level, even if it is a powerful one, is so simple that it is simply unimaginable. Yes, and a few of us hold high-level positions in a huge star field, and our reputation has spread far and wide to many surrounding star fields. This is all thanks to Lord Jia Yan's protection. Okay, don't talk so much. Now the Lord wants us to take action. It takes 1,000 days to raise an army in a moment. We don't want to embarrass the Lord. Several strong men in Jia Yan's team did not complain about Jia Yan's approach of letting them join the war, and they even looked forward to it. This is a rare practical progress after their hard training in seclusion. They no longer weigh too much on their yin and yang dao strength. I don't even know if I am considered strong or weak among ordinary star-level experts. Of course, strong is absolutely strong, it's just a question of how strong it is. We form a small team of 3 or 3. This way we can help the army to the greatest extent. At the same time, we can also have a certain degree of self-protection and even counter-attack when encountering the top powerhouses in the stars. I wish you good luck. Good luck to you too. Jia Yan's team, which formed a team of 3 and 3, happened to be divided into 3 teams and headed towards the Orion arm in all directions. Don't worry about their joint strength, because the joint tactics originally came from them. Even so many years ago, they already had the experience of using joint moves to kill stronger and stronger ones. Now that so many years have passed, their strength has progressed even more horribly, and yin-yang dao has been cultivated to an extremely profound level, so their strength is definitely much stronger than it was back then. The strong men of Jia Yan's team came out. This incident not only caused a moment of sensation in the Orion arm, but also created an extremely powerful word-of-mouth effect among the troops of the 16th Allied Forces. It is said that the top strong man in Orion's arm has come out. That's right. In just one day, 2 of our 16th Coalition forces died. Their actions were really timely. Haha, I have read their information. It seems that these 9 major existences are only 9 stellar mid-levels. Are the stellar mid-levels their trump card? Ha ha ha, I almost laughed to death. That's right, the stellar mid-level is one of the trump cards. This Orion arm is simply speechless. If the stellar mid-level is used, no matter which one of our 16 major coalition forces can pull out hundreds of such beings. Yes, and they also think that these 9 powerful men are actually the saviors of the Orion arm. I think the people in the Orion arm have something wrong with their heads. Anyway, if we randomly send a few Star Summit people here, we can deal with them. In the eyes of the enemy, the Orion Arms' dispatch of 9 strong men at the command level was just a joke. After all, the people in the Orion Arm should also know very well that their coalition army is not an ordinary army at all, but a galaxy-level domain. The troops sent, not to mention the galaxy-level powerhouses, there are many powerhouses below the galaxy level who have reached the peak of the star level. In the Orion Arm, except Jia Yan, who can resist the existence of a stellar peak. Of course, a strong person at the top of a star is also rare for the galaxy-level star field. There are only a few star tops in the entire galaxy-level star field. However, even if only a few star peaks appear, it will definitely be possible for Jia Yan, a galaxy-class person, to solve them personally. Even the members of Jia Yan's team who are taking action now, no one will believe that they can fight against the star peaks. It's just a group of mid-level stars, and the momentum is a bit exaggerated. For the 16th Allied Forces, the appearance of Jia Yan's squad was too flashy, and they simply did not believe that the appearance of these 9 members of Jia Yan's squad would change the situation of the battle. In front of us is a fleet of our Orion Arm, preparing to recapture the planet, but there is a star on this planet. No matter how they try, they will be knocked off the fleet by this star. Is it a stellar level? Then it's our turn to play in person. Let's go. In the starry sky, 3 beings who had reached the middle level of a star, or even reached the pinnacle of the middle level of a star, were heading towards a planet with great momentum. Outside the huge planet, a large number of battleships and spaceships have already surrounded this place. Sir, you are here. A captain of this batch of battleships came to the 3 creatures of Jia Yan's team. To Jia Yan's team, he was just a small figure. Even though he commanded thousands of warships in front of them, to the members of Jia Yan's team who could easily recruit tens of thousands of warships, he was like a child. His strength was also far behind, so he naturally lowered his stance. Oh! However, after seeing the captain's arrangement, the male goat creature in the 3-person team was stunned for almost an instant. In fact, before he came here, he had been thinking that it was almost impossible for this fleet to be able to suppress a planet with a star-level powerhouse. But looking at it now, this made this goat-like strong man a little surprised. Because the fleet in front of them actually used some kind of joint move, which made even the Astral class unwilling to fight with them, resulting in a situation where one Astral class was suppressed by thousands of warships. Of course, all of this is like stepping on thin ice. If the star-level expert dares to exchange a little injury for the disappearance of the enemy ships from the outside world, it can be easily done. It's a pity that this star-level person probably cherishes his feathers very much and doesn't dare to do so at all. Haha, you cherish your life so much, but now we are waiting for you. The strong goat smiled, and then flew to the planet without anyone else. Boom. Puff. Not long after, the entire planet was ablaze with defensive fires. But not long after, everything disappeared. The goat-like strong man flew up again. The murderous intent in his body was boiling, and it was obvious that he had just killed the stellar powerhouse. It's also sad. The enemy's star-level powerhouse may have thought that if he stayed here and waited for reinforcements, he would be waiting for his own star level who had a larger number of stars. But he may not have expected that what was waiting for him was actually the enemy's stars even reached the powerful star level of Jia Yan's team. The result was that he drank in hatred. Haha, he is really a bit weak. I deliberately wanted to play with him more, but this guy can't even resist my random moves? That's for sure. He has just achieved star-level strength. This kind of strength could have been easily killed by you decades ago, let alone now. Yes, our strength has really improved too much. It doesn't feel like the existence of the peak of stars has appeared, and we don't have any pressure. Hey, this is a bit too much. Expansion is not okay. I think that if a star peak really comes out, the 3 of us will also be in trouble. After all, a star peak is a star peak. In a star class, it is the strongest existence. That's right, I won't underestimate the enemy anymore. We can't even reach the high level of a star. If we reach the high level of a star, I would dare to fight with the beings at the top of the star. Don't, how can you have such an idea? The three of us are together now just to give us a chance to join forces to fight against the enemy when necessary. If you want to attack alone, that's a bit too much. I know, I just said it casually. The goat monster said this to the two members of Jia Yan's team beside him, and then the three major existences disappeared into the starry sky together. But in this battlefield, countless members of the Orion Arm fleet, as well as the captain who had just used a relatively good fleet battle, were already stunned, and then turned into ecstasy. With these powerful men stationed in the Orion Arm, why should we be afraid of enemy attacks? By the way, why did I forget just now? I used the warships that I summarized to learn from the joint warfare method, and used it to create a plan for a larger and more joint fleet. The captain was almost annoyed. Just now, he was able to use thousands of battleships to drag down the star on the planet to death, which proved that he used unique tactics. Although several members of Jia Yan's team were so happy about winning the battle that they forgot about this, they soon returned to the starry sky and obtained the battleship's joint technique from the captain. After several people improved it, this method of warfare was continued to be popularized by them. Although the effect was not as good as the military version of Onmyeto, and it required practitioners of the military version to command the warships to join forces to destroy the enemy, so it can be regarded as a benefit brought by Onmyeto. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1797. And in the several battles here, the news of the star-level killing of enemies quickly spread to the ears of the senior officials of the 16th Allied Forces. What? Jia Yan's team is so arrogant. They do still have a certain level of strength. Intermediate stars can kill the existences of elementary stars. It's as easy as a joke. In my opinion, we should send out high-level existences from the stars immediately, otherwise they will become even more domineering. Yes, let's give them some color. Then, let's do it like this. Send out a few high-level stars to form a team with the mid-level stars, and give these so-called Jia Yan team creatures a look at their faces. If necessary, it doesn't hurt to kill one or two. Let Jia Yan feel heartbroken, haha. Even if the members of Jia Yan's team performed well, they were nothing to the enemy. After all, there are 16 extremely powerful galaxy-level beings on their side. Even star-level experts have many top-level and mid-level stars, and there are only 9 of them. To them, this is almost like, the pebbles on the roadside can be easily crushed over. Some of them were even thinking that perhaps by sending out a few high-level star-level creatures, they could defeat everyone in Jia Yan's team. It's not possible to kill him in one go, because after a moment of pain, Jia Yan may disappear instead. After all his subordinates are dead, and he has no hope anymore. But after 1 or 2 deaths, Jia Yan feels that he can still struggle. If he loses again in the future, his temper will come, and he may fight in person. To the enemy, this is exactly what they want to achieve. So killing the enemy this time is definitely not their purpose. Their main purpose has always been that Jia Yan, the strongest man in the Orion Arm, appears in front of them, and then the galaxy-level bosses will appear. Die. Within the interstellar space, an extremely shocking thunder pierced the sky. Open the realm for me. Puff. The starry sky shook. Large tracts of starry sky matter, as well as subdimensional and gravitational wave spaces, are shaking and then broken into pieces. This was a battle involving a star-level warrior, which caused such a commotion. On one side are 3 mid-level stellar beings, and on the other are 3 high-level stellar beings. Anyone with a discerning eye should know that the high-level side of the stars has a lot of advantages. This should be the case, because there is 1 level difference, and the number of both sides is the same, there is no level difference at all, so the scene looks like the side of the mid-level side of the star is completely losing, which is a matter of course. Haha, the three members of Jia Yan's team are really quite powerful, and they live up to their reputation. Yes, just 3 people can resist the attack of the 3 of us. But it's useless. I thought that their joint attack would be the same as the low-level Orion arm creatures, which would greatly improve their strength, but now it seems that it is nothing more than that. The 3 high-level creatures from the stars were constantly using their brainwave power in the interstellar space, but they still seemed to be calm, with no possibility of defeat at all. After all, they were dealing with 3 stellar mid-level creatures that were 1 level below them. Even these 3 stellar mid-level creatures seemed to be more difficult to deal with, but in fact, after fighting, they found that these 3 the mid-level experts from the stars were powerful, but they were completely inferior to them. Haha, for such things, the Orion arm also regards them as ultimate weapons. It's so funny. Don't laugh. There are no high-level stars in the Orion arm. Apart from Jia Yan, they are the strongest. If they are not the top powerhouses, then who are they? It's just that they don't know that their own strength is very weak. There is still a peak star being behind us who hasn't taken any action. They can't even defeat us, so why bother to fight? Maybe Jia Yan just asked them to come out and fight us to delay time. The 3 high-level stellar creatures were chatting silently while launching attacks out of boredom. To them, the 3 powerful mid-level stars in front of them were not a big problem at all. One of them has extremely strong explosive power, but it can only be done with 1 or 2 moves. It is said that the explosive power of this yin and yang Dao is very promising. There are already powerful alien beings who are studying this kind of yin and yang Dao. I want to learn the positive and negative force explosion methods inside. But that's it? No matter how powerful the move is, if the reaction cannot keep up, to them, it is just a relatively threatening explosion. Puff. The most threatening creature was beaten to the point where one of them used brainwave power to break through his domain defense and beat him until he vomited blood. The holy spirit of technology. What makes people a little shocked is that this mid-level stellar creature was actually attacked by a high-level stellar creature and at the same time used positive and negative power to offset it for a moment. This meant that even if he was injured, the injury was still not serious. Huh? This yin and yang Dao actually has so many wonderful uses. Several high-level creatures from the stars have some understanding of yin-yang Dao, but now they find that in the hands of relatively high-level experts, yin-yang Dao actually has new uses, which also makes them a little surprised. Place. Even if they saw the magic of yin and yang Dao, they didn't think there was any possibility of losing. It was only after this defensive yin-yang Dao star-level being was beaten to blood that the 3 members of Jia Yan's team began to taunt each other one by one as if they were joking. Haha, tell me, I lost again this time. Tell me what you want later. I'm laughing so hard. We both survived, but the one with the strongest defense actually got hurt first. You can't do it anymore. Among the 3 star-level beings of Jia Yan's team present, one is the being who has studied the explosive power of yin and yang Dao, and among the other 2, one is a strong female from the Scorpion clan. The other is goat-like Lily. At this time, the 3 yin and yang Dao star-level powerhouses still felt a little indifferent to the several lower-level star-level beings in front of them. This made the other party a little angry. You guys are about to die now, but you still dare to talk and laugh. I don't know what gave you the courage. Could it be that Jia Yan is already nearby and will save you later? One of the enemy's lower-class beings asked coldly. There is no need for my lord to take action, not to mention that my lord is not here. The subordinate who used positive and negative power explosion methods did not have the slightest intention to refute the words of this lower-level star creature, and just shook his head. Seniors, when you come to fight with our Orion arm, do you think you can defeat our Orion arm? Haha, do you think our Jia Yan team is so easy to bully? Then let's show you our true strength. This stellar star, who was good at explosions, flew to Lily and the others. The three members of Jia Yan's team gathered together one by one. They are actually three powerful people, and they just had the idea of joining forces. This scene made the enemy's three-star backstage members look confused. What's going on with you? Didn't you join forces just now? It's impossible. Without joining forces, you could fight like this with us with your true strength. Several star-level beings were all thrown into confusion in the wind. Their thoughts on Jia Yan's team were that the members of this team were said to be Jia Yan's strongest subordinates, but in reality their combat capabilities were completely unworthy of being Jia Yan's subordinates. Although this is because Jia Yan has just reached the galaxy level and not many powerful people have come to join him, part of the reason is because Jia Yan has a poor taste in people. Even the middle-level stars of several major stars treat it like a treasure, giving them the greatest trust. Even many of the overall situations in the star field are controlled by these major creatures. They can be said to be fools. They had just fought against the existence of these three Jia Yan squads, and they had always thought that the three of them were joining forces. Otherwise, how could it be possible to compete with the three of them? But what I never expected was that from what these three guys said, it seemed like they had only started to join forces now. That's ridiculous. Does this mean that these three members of Jia Yan's team have been fighting them one-on-one just now? You must know that although the three lower-level stellar creatures fought relatively easily just now, they also know that the enemy is relatively powerful. It is very difficult to eat them in one go. But looking at it now, these three mid-level star creatures dare to say that they didn't join forces just now, and they are joining forces now, saying that they were one-on-one before? It's simply too arrogant, and even if you're just pretending to be cool, it's not convincing at all. If Jia Yan was as talented as him, he might be able to compete with some of the high-level stars in the mid-level stellar class, but they didn't believe it at all. Each of Jia Yan's three subordinates might be able to fight to a certain extent with any of them. A tie in a sense. Since you are bragging that you haven't joined forces, let's join forces and see. The faces of the three high-level creatures from the stars turned ugly for a while. They believed that the three major members of Jia Yan's team were trying to make a fool of themselves. Little girl, come to the bowl quickly. But 10 minutes later, they wouldn't say that. Boom boom boom. Within the star, the three groups advanced and retreated in a well-established manner, attacking continuously, and their speeds were also increased. The members of Jia Yan's team, each of which was equal to the speed of the enemy star's later stage, almost wanted to laugh. How about it, three of you, do you think our strength is worthy of the title? Oh, you actually think that you three high-ranking stars can really kill the members of my Jia Yan team? At this moment, the subordinates of the three major Jia Yan could be said to be elated. For them, there are very few opportunities to fight under Jia Yan's subordinates. The special talents deliberately do not join forces directly, just to see how far their respective combat effectiveness, and single combat effectiveness has reached. And the result made them quite happy. These three lower-level stars actually fought with them individually, but they couldn't be defeated quickly. You know, this is almost equivalent to a step-up battle. In the past, only the top star-level beings could do such a thing. But the three of them actually did it. Now the presence of the three major Jia Yan squads joined forces to kill all directions, causing the three powerful lower-level stars to almost scurry away with their heads covered and were about to die. In fact, they are just playing. If they want to kill the enemy, they can do it long ago. This is the real yin-yang Dao joint trick, we can't stop it. It's so terrifying that this place, requires at least the existence of the peak of the star to be able to resist it. If we have another chance to play against them next time, we will definitely have to find more people, more than double their number, to have a chance of winning. Several late-level stellar powerhouses were completely stunned, because they originally did not think that they would lose to mid-level stellar creatures, but now, they really lost. Die. The members of Jia Yan's team are now exhausted. Several of them have never had a good chance to fight. Now that they have the opportunity, they naturally have to show their strength. In this national process, the three subordinates who did not have much actual combat experience were also showing off their unique skills together and their understanding of cultivation. It can be said that with every minute and every second, their strength is still improving. And just when the explosive mid-level stellar powerhouse instantly caught the flaw of a high-level stellar powerhouse and was about to use his trump card. "Stop it, old man." An earth-shattering roar suddenly sounded like an explosion in the ears of several subordinates of the stellar Jia Yan team. Stellar peak. At this moment, the three most powerful men from Jia Yan's team immediately analyzed the strength of the shouting being. At the same time, they were slightly shocked, and even thought about leaving. "Don't leave, let's check the situation." "Yes, it's better not to leave. There are many enemy star peaks. If we have to retreat every time we encounter them, there will be nothing to help Mr. Jia Yan share the original pressure." "That's right, we fought relatively easily at the high level of the star, but at the top of the star, fortunately, he only has one person." "Then give it a try." The member of Jia Yan's team here, used brainwave power to communicate with the other two the moment the sound appeared. Next, an astonishing and frightening light burst out from the eyes of the three of them. Die. At this moment, their attack power more than doubled. "Stop it." The voice of the being at the top of the star was almost furious. He never thought that there would be a mere mid-level star creature that dared to attack even after being ordered to drink from him. He had the intention to stop it, but what he didn't expect was that the three intermediate star existences in front of him would reach that speed. Puff puff. The enemy's three high-level warriors from the stars were unable to die under the sudden explosion-like combat power. "Very good, you three are very good. Since you have killed three high-ranking stars on our side, then just wait to die." Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1798. The star peak that spoke in the starry sky did not have any hidden thoughts after speaking the threatening words, and it immediately appeared in the eyes of the three Jiayan team members. This creature is full of strength, and the power of his brainwaves is extremely astonishing when he first experiences it. He is an existence at the pinnacle of a star, and his entire body is more than 5 kilometers in size. The members of Jia Yan's team were silently looking at this star-top creature, each of them looking slightly surprised. The creature in front of them existed at the pinnacle of a star, and they had no doubts about it, but it looked a bit like Jia Yan, completely an insect-like creature. Fortunately, they didn't think too much and just prepared to face the enemy. After all, facing a star at the pinnacle is a situation that the members of Jia Yan's team have never encountered before. Even if they join forces, they dare not say there is any chance of winning. Now they just want not to fail. If they can draw or escape successfully, it is their victory. Let's fight first. If we really can't win, we can use the joint speed method taught by adults and escape first. After all, we know too little about the existence of Stellar Summit. We know their strength level for the first time. Only by knowing how to deal with it will we be able to defeat it in the future. None of them thought about becoming fat in one bite, because even if Yin Yang Dao is good in theory, in fact it is the first time to face such a terrifying and powerful existence, so they feel that this new type of joint power should require a period of time. After 2 actual battles, and then find out the disadvantages of Yin and Yang Dao combined with Dafa, etc., only after such improvements can it truly have the effect of killing the existence of the peak of stars. But they didn't expect that the other party actually had the idea of killing them decisively. The attack at this moment was so crazy that it made people breathless. Huh? Just use all your strength. Damn it, this star peak existence actually wants to kill us directly. Then let's fight. The members of Jia Yan's team at the middle level of the three major stars felt the threat of death at this moment. In less than a second, their overall strength became unprecedentedly amazing. Then the three of them joined hands and used the defensive skills taught and compiled by Jia Yan to instantly support the defense of brainwave power. At the same time, the explosive creator of Mosquito was instantly in front of the other two. It can be said that it is a joint effort, or it can be said that there is a routine, but the people who made all this are still people, so their personal thoughts and thinking are still affecting the effect of the joint effort, and are also an important factor affecting the outcome of this battle. This powerful man with explosive power immediately chose to resist the first wave of attacks. Boom! He was surging with strength, and instantly exploded his positive and negative forces with all his strength. And this terrifying explosion of power instantly turned the entire world red. Only those who have personally experienced the horror of positive and negative forces can understand how terrifying it is. This is like the collision of matter and antimatter in the air, causing earth-shattering power, which is hardly the terrifying power that humans can imagine. And even in a battle between stellar-level experts, this kind of power is extremely terrifying. Therefore, the positive and negative forces that exploded in an instant caused the power of the approaching star-level peak existence to weaken in an instant as if it had encountered some terrible resistance. It's just that the peak of the star is the peak of the star. They are the closest to the galaxy level. Therefore, the strength of this stellar peak powerhouse, at this moment, directly broke through the positive and negative force defense of this stellar mid-level member of Jia Yan's team. He was just a hair away from attacking the body of this stellar mid-level member. Superior. You must know that although this power was hindered for a while by positive and negative forces, it still possesses extremely terrifying energy. Therefore, if hit by it from the front, this mid-level star-level creature with positive and negative explosive power may die. But he was not worried or afraid, because his trust in his friends or comrades made him feel no fear at all. As expected, when this power was about to come to the body, the positive and negative forces of this mid-level star existed. Instead of having an urgent defense, he was even organizing another counterattack. And the imminent attack power, with two stellar mid-level comrades behind him, was instantly withstood. Puff bang! In an instant, this power no longer had the slightest influence. The power existing at the top of the star is naturally terrifying to the three mid-level star creatures, but as long as they join forces, they still have a certain resistance. Huh? He actually blocked it? The creature at the pinnacle of the star was extremely shocked at this moment that the three people in Jia Yan's team could withstand his blow. And as a powerful person, he knew that the three mid-level stellar creatures in front of him were not resisting desperately. In other words, the opponent was not just able to block this one blow, but would come with a few more blows. They may all be able to resist. How could it be? You are just mid-level stars. Just now, I thought that the three beings in Jia Yan's team in front of me were just lucky enough to defeat several of their high-level comrades from the stars. But now, it seems that these three beings are really not weak. Strength. The eyes of this stellar peak creature suddenly changed. In this war, he was actually just here to act as a protector in unexpected situations. But he never expected that in front of his eyes, a scene that shocked him appeared. That was his comrades, that is, the three-star peak creatures, whose status was only among those who existed at the top of stars like them. The high-level star beings below were actually a trinity, and were killed by the three middle-level stars in the three Orion arms. That's why he was ready to rescue him at the critical moment, but what he didn't expect was that the other party's speed was so fast that even he had no time to rescue him. But now, he took action with anger, but he was still a little shocked to find that these three mid-level stellar creatures were not afraid of him, and even blocked his most angry blow. How about it? Do you think this gentleman at the top of the star can still kill us? How about you try again? Among the three creatures on the opposite side, Two were females, but their provocative and sultry words were no weaker than those of the other male creatures. Even the words they spoke made this stellar peak powerhouse feel extremely powerful. I was depressed, but there was nothing I could do about it. Fight. If you don't fight, get out of here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1799. Phone reading. Haha, this is a life-saving thing given to me by the Lord, but after thinking about it, he is also willing to use this item to kill a star peak creature. What? Feeling the terrifying power of the sudden appearance of matter and antimatter, this star-top creature wanted to get out of the way. But that small object seemed to have its own intelligence in the starry sky, and it instantly attached itself to the star's peak powerhouse. Boom! In the starry sky, this object exploded. In fact, this is another reason why Jia Yan has certain confidence in his subordinates. Each of them has a positive and negative force rock made by Jia Yan. And because of his unique power characteristics, Jia Yan has finally developed a special property that is completely different from others from controlling the black hole to now, that is, he can actually lend his power indirectly to used by others. The materials of these positive and negative power rocks are just rocks, plus the guidance of Jia Yan's positive and negative power. For others, this power is already irresistible. After all, in the beginning, he used these front and back rocks and other objects to blow up a galaxy-level person to escape, but now it is only used to deal with the creatures at the top of the star. Even if there is only one piece, the effect is absolutely outstanding. Therefore, this creature at the pinnacle of the star simply screamed and disappeared into ashes. This is dead. The methods Master Jia Yan gave us are indeed extremely terrifying. Everyone has a piece, or even a few pieces, in their hands, and the adults will give it to us in the future. Doesn't this mean that we can all regard the creatures at the top of the stars as stupid dogs? It's scary. It's simply scary. What's more, it seems like it's not too strenuous to make such a substance. Can each of us hold such a substance to be comparable to a strong star at the top? That's not right, because this kind of material needs us to attract it from the subspace, and because our talent in the subspace is insufficient and we can't control it freely, so if we want to attract this substance to the body of the star's peak, we need to stick very close to it. It's close, and the explanation is also limited. Several members of Jia Yan's team were all shocked by the material given by Jia Yan because it was extremely effective and terrifying. After all, they are mid-level stars, and they are still mid-level stars who each have a certain ability to transcend levels. They fully understand the greatness and terror of the strong ones at the top of the stars. But such a being actually died like this without any resistance under the explosion of matter given by Jia Yan? As expected, he is a galaxy level, and he is a terrifying powerhouse who created the advanced cultivation concept of yin and yang dao. The items he makes make people feel extremely advanced when he takes them out. But this kind of item will definitely consume Lord Jia Yan's strength and time. He has limited energy. Nowadays, the pressure on dealing with the galaxy class must be huge. So if we can't use this kind of item, we should try not to use it, because it is very important for this battle. Generally speaking, dealing with the star class will never be the main thing. Even if we fight well, but in the end we cannot deal with the galaxy class existence, then this battle will still be lost. Our purpose is to contain the enemy's star class. Yes, our purpose is to contain them and prevent them from using a mere star level, so as to force Lord Jia Yan to fight. The creatures in Jia Yan's team still take Jia Yan's current status very seriously, even though they always feel that they want to catch up with Jia Yan's footsteps and become a being who can help Jia Yan solve his problems, but in fact they want to. It is very difficult to do this. So they knew that their goal should be to help Jia Yan spend as little time and energy as possible. Several members of Jia Yan's team, after solving the 3 high-level stars here, plus a strong star at the top, left the battlefield directly. The situation here was directly known to the enemies and even the many creatures inside the Orion Arm in almost no time. You know, this is the highest level war that has been fought since the war between the Orion Arm and the 16th Alliance. No one originally thought that in the war between the 3 stellar mid-level players and the high-level star players, the mid-level star players would win, let alone an enemy star peak existence. But the facts have slapped countless unfavorable creatures in the face. The 3-star mid-level players of Jia Yan team use actual situations to let all those who are not optimistic about them know that they in Jia Yan team are not at all as strong as others can imagine. They are also the same as low-level Yin and Yang Dao experts. Are actually able to join forces, and even the increase in combat power that explodes is not at all comparable to that of ordinary low-level powerhouses joining forces. This proves that Yin Yang Dao, even at the stellar level, still has the effect of joining forces, and everyone's enthusiasm for practicing and learning Yin Yang Dao continues to rise. On the other hand, they also used this joint battle to start a war between the Orion Arm and the 16th Allied forces at the stellar level. A war involving just a few star levels, facing enemies of hundreds or thousands of star levels. But in this war, another major problem was exposed, and it was also the place within Orion's arms that shocked people even more. That is, the members of the 3 major Jia Yan squads actually used a very terrifying weapon. A strong man at the pinnacle of a star, under such a killer weapon, could not even resist a single move, and actually died just like that. Many people who are interested in finding out what this is have no answer. After all, the explosives made by Jia Yan are still a killer weapon to the members of Jia Yan's team. If you mention them casually, others may have a way to deal with them, so it is better to keep them mysterious. What's going on? The members of Jia Yan's team actually have such fighting power. The 3 of them joined forces to kill all the 3-star peaks on our side. And not only that, even the people we sent to observe the movements and ensure the lives of high-level creatures in the 3 stars are also dead. You know, he is a star at the pinnacle. What should I do? A star at the top is dead. This shows that the members of Jia Yan's team have strength that is superior to any strong person at the star level. Even under such circumstances, do we, the galaxy level, need to kill them? This is so embarrassing. This is definitely not something that can be done by a star level. No matter how terrifying the star level is, it is impossible to go beyond 2 levels. Even if the 3 major star mid-levels join forces and want to kill a star peak, it will be impossible. Possibly, this can only be said to be what Jia Yan is doing. Perhaps he did it himself. After all, there were no galaxy-level people present, and we don't know if he was present in person. How could anyone who has not reached the galaxy level detect his subspace talent? This is simply unreasonable. At this moment, scenes of anger and despair appeared one by one among the 16 major coalition forces. Especially in contacting the Orion Arm, the propaganda department of the Orion Arm, which had been trying to persuade them to surrender, quickly sent news to the Orion Arm. Your galaxy-level strongman Jia Yan destroyed the peace of the war and took action himself. Now I give you 2 choices. The first one is to let Jia Yan get out and accept the sanctions of our 16th National Congress. The second one, it's us, the Galaxy class, who will come forward in person and instantly trample your Orion Arm to the ground. Which one you choose is up to you to consider. This news was delivered to a high-ranking officer with a clamor by a communications soldier who received the news. As for such important news, the senior executive did not dare to neglect it and quickly passed it on to the most important intelligence department. The intelligence department quickly conveyed this information to Jia Yan, who was silently working alone in the subspace and continued to break through the power. Jia Yan, who received the information, read it and then smiled slightly. For him, this kind of threat has no effect at all. After all, Jia Yan has always grown up under the threat of such strong men, and there is nothing that can scare him at all. Of course, for the Orion arm, the symbolic significance of this threat is very great. After all, the other party has not yet revealed the news that it has more than a dozen galaxy-level people. If people's hearts are already floating, if they say with more than a dozen galactic levels on our side, maybe the entire Orion arm will collapse. If you pass on the message, just say that I, Jia Yan, am willing to fight any of them alone. If they are brave, they can come to me one by one to try my hand. Jia Yan also spread this potentially exciting news. After all, Jia Yan's strength is very important to the people of the Orion arm. Even if everyone knows that it is difficult for him to win under a group of galaxy-level siege, but if he can do it, in the hands of any enemy, winning is also a rare piece of good news. After all, although the enemy is a coalition force, they are also the masters of their respective star regions. They will also be afraid of an unkillable galaxy class coming to attack. In this case, at least at the psychological level, the Orion arm people on Jia Yan's side still have a little comfort. And Jia Yan knew that the enemy would never fulfill his wish. Fighting alone, the corpses of the previous galaxy-level powerhouses were telling these galaxy-level beings their pain. How could they risk their lives? Even if there is a fight, the person who comes forward will definitely be the possible galaxy intermediate. Although Jia Yan now feels that he has a chance to challenge the mid-level galaxy, he will not really do so, because his whole body will be affected by one move. For Jia Yan, his life and death are no longer the matter. It was his own business. At least at this important juncture, he wanted to avoid possible problems. He was even thinking about whether he was going to hide his strength deeper and wait until his strength completely surpassed the average mid-level galaxy. Appear to kill the enemy, then turn the tide and raise your own safety level to a higher level. My strength has reached the level of stability at the primary level of the galaxy, and because of the yin and yang dao and my subspace talent, I am much stronger now than when I was first promoted to the galaxy level, so now, I will never be afraid if any existence of the elementary level of the galaxy comes in front of me. Jia Yan has been understanding his own strength. He actually knows that his strength is almost that of a relatively powerful beginner in the galaxy. Intermediate levels are definitely not available, but he has his own background, such as the explosion of positive and antimatter. His power and his accomplishments in subspace gave him the confidence to face an intermediary star. Even if he lost, he felt like he had a good chance of escaping. Of course, he has never fought against the intermediate galaxy class until now. He has only known the strong ones in the intermediate galaxy class before. They are also called intermediate galaxy classes, but their strength is completely higher than that of the average galaxy intermediate class. Domain Lord level beings. Jia Yan has witnessed the strength of the Zerg Queen. Although he has only experienced a little bit, he also clearly understands that he is definitely not as good as the Queen now. In other words, he feels that even the Territory Lord can be considered a high-level one. Come on, it's a pity that the original division of strength was to divide the domain masters into mid-level. In short, Jia Yan is not too worried about Zinc intermediate level. What he is most worried about is Domain Lord. The existence of the Domain Lord level is still a powerful person with no solution for me, so I must not make conditions that would involve the Domain Lords in this matter. It is difficult for Jia Yan to resist the terror of a Territory Lord level. Let's seize it with both hands. The first point is to be prepared so that the Territory Lord will not get involved in this matter. The other point is my own strength. I have to continue to climb up. After reaching a certain level, I don't have to worry about the Territory Lord. Problem. Jia Yan still has a lot of worries about the strength of the Territory Lord, but apart from the Territory Lord, the current Orion arm seems extremely critical, but he still has a certain confidence in his heart. The progress of the 16th Allied Forces has been hindered due to the presence of many Yin and Yang Dao strongmen within the Alliance arm. Deliberately sending out the astral bar, Jia Yan's team from the Orion arm also appeared and put out fires everywhere, causing the enemy to become very passive. Even though they have a lot of strong men, the enemy cannot defeat the Orion arm in one go. As they have said before, defeating the Orion arm is not their primary goal. Their goal is to attract Jia Yan, the evolved beast. The 16 powerful men have been gearing up and preparing to join forces to besiege Jia Yan. But Jia Yan just didn't show up, and even kept making small moves on the battlefield, which made the people in the entire Orion arm happy, but these 16 galaxy-level beings were helpless. The whole situation is actually stable. Temporarily stable, then it's time for me to seize the time and quickly improve my strength. After Jia Yan thought about the entire situation on the battlefield, he felt that he didn't actually need to care too much about external affairs now. What I need to do most is to refine more positive and negative substances, and then hand them over to those subordinates. This book comes from Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1800. In addition to the stellar level, I would like to give it to others to use some of it, but without the existence of the intermediate star level, it is impossible to attract the matter and antimatter in these rocks. It is a pity. The power used by Jia Yan to create antimatter explosives is not exaggerated, but the use of such manufactured items is very limited. Especially for Jia Yan, his strength is not enough now, and it is not enough for practice. How can he still have so much time to make those things? Jia Yan continued to indulge in his training. He was not very worried about the current situation of his subordinates, because Jia Yan knew that those galaxy-level experts would not personally go out to deal with Jia Yan's subordinates so soon. At least Jia Yan had to show up once before they would take action, because in this way they could determine Jia Yan's position and Jia Yan's attitude. If this strong man didn't even care about his subordinates fighting, then they would even consider Orion his arm was beaten to a pulp, so it was probably of no use. Therefore, the less Jia Yan appears, the more protection it will be for Orion arm. It's just that this feeling is very frustrating. Ha 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 ha, we don't have a strong person in the Orion arm, but if we have a unique combination of skills, we still have a certain chance. Yes, at least our current fighting situation is much better than when the war first started. Let's fight. After fighting for a while, maybe the strength within our Orion arm will become even more powerful because of this war. Haha, I think so too. At least our Orion arm's current joint skills have become well known to everyone around Xin. Even before, we thought our Orion arm was a weakling. No, but it's different now. They will be afraid when they see the creatures traveling within our Orion arm, more than 2 of them. Ha ha ha, our Orion arm is invincible, I have to sign up to join the army as soon as possible. On the network within the Orion arm, there has never been a shortage of military fans and young people who want to join the army. This shows that there is still a certain potential within the Orion arm that can be tapped, and although many of these military fans are of little use in actual situations, they can also play a certain role in helping on the internet. And just as these netizens are proud of, the entire Orion arm's connection with the outside world is no longer the same as it was in previous years. The creatures in the Orion arm, even if they are just heaven-level beings, will immediately attract the attention of the powerful people in other star regions after they arrive in the outer star field. Even if they are 1 or 2 levels higher than them, as long as the Orion arm, if there are more than 2 strong people inside, they will give them a certain amount of respect. After all, the soldiers in the Orion arm are using their battles to show everyone the terrifying power of the Orion arm's joint stunts. Don't think that no other star field dares to interact with the Orion arm during the war. In fact, such interactions have become more frequent. Because of the war, a star field needs a lot of outside business, either the Orion arm sells things out, or it is urgent products from the outside world that the Orion arm needs to buy and use. especially those related to people's livelihood, because the Orion Arm's entire posture is focused on war, so products related to people's livelihood have become very much in need of outside sales. Many strong men in Orion's arms can go a day without fighting, nor can they go a day without practicing, enjoying delicious food, etc. All these require the help of external resources. Therefore, under such a war situation, the communication between the Orion Arm and the outside world became more frequent. However, the problem arises in this situation. The Orion Arm requires too much external resources, so in this state, the opponent immediately thought of some more insidious trick. That is to either use coercion or inducement, or promise certain security terms, or offer some good prices to the other party, saying that after the Orion Arm takes over, it will be impossible for them to occupy it, and the land will be owned by other star regions. To encroachment. So after the war started for a full year, merchants in the Orion Arm found that they could no longer buy products from the outer space. Or should I say, you can buy it, but either the price is too high or the products are too few. These things are too big a blow to the massive consumer class inside the Orion Arm. Even many star fields are inseparable from trade. What's going on? People in the Orion Arm can't buy it? Don't you have such a huge reserve of magnesium metal in your star field? Why don't you sell it to us? I'm sorry, your Orion Arm has been restricted by the above, and we don't know the reason. The sinister young master stepped aside. The witch is attacking. How could this happen? We need it here right away, so you have to sell it. Oh? We don't want to sell it. Doesn't it mean that your Orion Arm wants to start a war with us? Haha, the Orion Arm is already facing the 16th Allied Forces. How can you still want to start a war with us? It's just a bit arrogant. There were many similar scenes in the surrounding star field, and the buyers within the Orion Arm encountered nails one by one. They were all shocked. Because the Orion Arm is very dependent on external procurement, especially recently, because the outside world did not know why, it suddenly released the purchase list of some important materials for the Orion Arm, which made the Orion Arm extremely happy. Because in this way they can free up the manpower of many manufacturers of these materials to conduct research, development, and production of war events. But when the Orion Arm stopped some work and relied entirely on imports, the other party actually said it would not sell it. This is like a stream of water that suddenly stops. The creatures drinking water underneath will be finished in an instant. Everyone in Orion's arms was extremely shocked, and then anger rose in their hearts. Each one of them is like a defeated rooster, looking for people everywhere to seek connections, but there is nothing they can do. No one is willing to sell any supplies from the outside world. What's going on? These outside star fields are actually unwilling to trade with our Orion Arm. The children in our army are waiting to use these military uniforms. It's even worse for me. The food for my army has been purchased from these external star fields, but they don't sell it anymore. We will be out of food in half a month. This, could it be? For the staff and other think tanks within the Orion Arm, it couldn't be easier to understand the thoughts of these star fields in the outside world. Just looking at the information they dug deeply, they knew that in some star fields, they had received news of visits from senior officials of the 16th Allied Forces, and they knew that the enemy should have penetrated into these outer star fields and then reached some agreement with them. Protocol. I originally thought that the enemy was just an outsider, and it would be difficult to impress so many star regions. And even if they could be moved, they would definitely come from one family to another. However, I did not expect that the enemy would attack so many star regions in one breath. All done. Or it should be said that it is possible that he deliberately chose the same time to carry out such a small move. Because the interior of the Orion Arm relied more and more on such external materials, some of which were even parts of armed equipment. These things were eliminated in one breath, and the danger inside the Orion Arm increased to a large level in an instant. For people in the Orion Arm, life becomes extremely difficult in one fell swoop. The enemy, on the other hand, was celebrating that their conspiracy had succeeded. Haha, the guys in the Orion Arm have indeed been tricked. For our other star regions, it is a very simple move, but they actually fell into this move in one go. This is the disadvantage of the star regions that have no war experience. These uncivilized star territory characters are only at this level. If we use our brains a little bit, we will kill them in one go. Haha, previously it was just because they were weak and wanted to do it in an honest way, but now it seems that our strength is probably a bit difficult to match up with their combined skills. Even if we win, it will cause many ordinary things for us. The strong will be killed or injured, so it is better to use a destructive trick on this Orion Arm. War, that's what it is, and there's nothing wrong with us. Among the 16 major coalition forces, everyone was extremely happy because the source of supplies was instantly stopped because of the Orion Arm. Certain fleet groups, even at this juncture, immediately attack certain defensive units of the Orion Arm. It is a pity that today's Orion Arm still has a lot of fighting power. Even if the will to fight has fluctuated a little due to these events, in fact, such fighting power is definitely not weak. As a result, all the powerful fleets that attacked suffered losses one by one. Haha, I still feel that way. The fleet members in Orion's arms are quite capable. Half of our fleet sneak attack team died. It's so powerful. The combined trick is really the trick of the creature in Orion's arm, yin-yang magic. But even if you can stop it, what about another month or two in the future? You will definitely still die. Within the Orion Arm army, there are also rumors that the Orion Arm's extraterrestrial resources were cut off by the enemy through various connections. For a time, the entire fleet within the Orion Arm was filled with excitement. Each of these messages is spread by someone who is not quite right behind the scenes. Even if some of the messages are deliberately digested by the senior leaders in the fleet to make their messages less widely spread, they still cannot to prevent it. It's like some enemy has lurked into the Orion Arm's military system. However, this situation made the senior executives within Orion Arm extremely depressed. It was difficult for them to find these spies and the like in a short period of time. The Orion Arm army feels a little unstable. This is the enemy's art of war. Because war is never a head-on confrontation, it also includes confrontations behind the scenes, etc. The Orion Arm encountered a frontal crisis for the first time. The stars in the outside world really have a good idea, and they actually take advantage of our war like this. Seeing the star fields raising their prices, especially those that were hostile to the Orion Arm or the old biochemical star field, they initially gave up their feelings of disapproval with the Orion Arm. But now, they fired the first shot and hit the hardest. It is these star fields that make people feel chilling. Moreover, some star regions make people feel more uncomfortable with their actions, because these star regions were the same star regions that were previously relatively weak like the Orion Arm. Each of them has become stronger against the Orion Arm, and has when they were in the famous Galaxy class, they all obeyed the Orion Arm's advice, but when this war started, they immediately acted according to the wind, and in an instant, they fell to the side of the 16th Allied Forces. But it is normal. After all, as for the 16th Allied Forces, in today's era of information transmission, everyone knows that behind them is actually a galaxy-level star field, and the strength of any one of them will not be under the arm of Orion. If not everyone came from afar, one of them would definitely beat the Orion Arm to pieces. And they are just playing now. Everyone in the Orion Arm knows that the war has no advantage for them. As the collaborators of the Orion Arm, they naturally know how they should choose. In the international situation, what we talk about originally is interests and whether we are strong or not. Haha, it seems that our Orion Arm is going to have a hard time for a while. Fortunately, we still have a lot of resources inside our Orion Arm. This is thanks to Lord Jia Yan's plan back then. Within the Orion Arm, Many senior executives have also realized that it will be difficult for them to rely on external forces in the future, but will have to rely on themselves. Fortunately, the Orion Arm is not a small star field to begin with. It has a large territory and produces a lot of things. As long as people work hard and let artificial intelligence play a greater role, it can offset the influence of the outside world. It's just that it has a relatively large impact on the quality of life of ordinary people within Orion's arms. The war began to enter another level. However, in such a difficult time, Orion had another very powerful helper, but his help gradually showed. That is the Earth Alliance, or should I say, the so-called new entrant of the Earth Alliance, the Northern Star Territory. This northern star field is thousands of light years away from the Orion Arm, so it should be difficult to help the Orion Arm. But in fact, he has an ultra-long distance connection or communication channel with the Earth Alliance for unknown reasons. They have been expanding this pipeline, and now, this pipeline, which is no longer very small, has suddenly become the strongest direction for large-scale procurement of the Orion Arm. At the other end of the northern star field, the entire small star field has also begun a large amount of construction. You must know that although the technology of the Northern Star Territory is stronger than that of the Orion Arm, it is not much better. If you want to satisfy the super big man of the Orion Arm, then the Northern Star Territory must step up all its energy. Fortunately, the Northern Star Territory has been unified, and under Kama's command, his value was quickly demonstrated. Although it is impossible to make up for all the losses of the Orion Arm, it may help to the greatest extent. Moreover, a large number of purchases have also begun in the Northern Star region. The surrounding star regions have become purchasing points for the Northern Star region. There is no enemy blockade here, so strategic supplies have become endless, helping the Orions as much as possible. Arm. Please use the latest domain name to read books on this site. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1801. In this way, the Orion Arm finally managed to hold on. As for the Orion Arm's external assistance, the 16th Allied Forces have hardly heard of it. This shows that the other party still does not pay enough attention to the Orion Arm and does not have many sources of intelligence. After all, the war between the two sides has only just begun for a year or two. Both sides are adapting to the strength of the other side and the feeling of the other side's strength. Even the intelligence was obtained after the two sides fought for a period of time and got to know each other more clearly. Recognition and awareness. For the huge star field, no matter how weak the star field is, in fact, as long as there is a certain threat, then this war cannot be fought in a short period of time. It is destined to be a protracted war from the beginning. Originally, the 16th Allied Forces were prepared to capture the Orion Arm quickly, but they did not expect that the Orion Arm would turn around in an instant after it initially showed the feeling of a weak star field. Use combined skills to quickly become a tough enemy that is difficult to defeat. The war between the two sides has become a battle that is almost impossible to end quickly since the use of the joint attack. The same is true even if a galaxy-level being takes action. After all, the Orion Arm is too big. With an Orion Arm of this strength, even if they are defeated in an instant, they can play guerrilla warfare and fight everywhere in the Orion Arm. Galaxy level, it's just the 16th National Congress. It's impossible to chase all the stragglers in the Orion Arm, right? So much so that today's war has become some kind of war of attrition. The Orion Arm couldn't bear it, and the enemy was feeling a little uncomfortable. You know, they also come from afar, which not only consumes a lot of manpower, but also puts a lot of pressure on materials. Especially in the universe, the requirements of creatures are different. For example, creatures of certain races can only eat only the food on their planet can survive, and the powerful people on some planets have their own traditions and need to worship with things from their hometown every half a month. These trivial matters may not matter to each creature, but if they are piled up in one go for the entire army, it is a very troublesome matter. Because of this, logistics has become very tense. It is inconvenient to transport anything in such a far place. As time goes by for the enemy, it becomes an extremely uncomfortable protracted battle. The Orion Arm is also uncomfortable. First of all, it is naturally caused by the war, which consumes a lot of money. Another point is that their foreign trade has been blocked by the enemy. Although there is help from the Northern Star region, this is still not a long-term solution. Fortunately, no matter what, the Orion Arm fights in its own star field. This advantage is very great. The familiarity of the star map and the control of the inside of the Orion Arm are all the advantages of the Orion Arm. Under such circumstances, the war has become a feeling of protracted war. It is incredible for the surrounding star fields that a small star field like the Orion Arm can actually compete with the large star fields of the 16th Galaxy class and not lose all at once. Then, they started to have more thoughts. Even if they unite with the 16th Major Coalition forces and blockade the Orion Arm in a certain sense, they can still carry out many other actions to obtain benefits. This is just like the relationship between countries as the Earth originally looked, with interests at play. In fact, what the Orion Arm hopes most is for this kind of war to develop, because for the Orion Arm, the longer it is delayed, the more beneficial the war will be to the Orion Arm. Not to mention that the enemy is an army coming from afar, even if they are nearby. For the Orion Arm, it is definitely better to delay it for a long time, because the greatest hope of the entire Orion Arm is not actually the army, but Jia Yan. Of course Jia Yan himself knew this. In the subspace, he looked at the battle situation information and thought about it all. I knew that the war would develop into this situation, so I prepared my greatest weapon from the beginning, which is the new direction of my cultivation. If I hadn't prepared it early, maybe I would be facing a blank period now. I really don't know what to do. Jia Yan is hiding in the subspace and has been working hard in the direction of cultivation. Although he has been dealing with external affairs in the process, for him, all this is just because Jia Yan has not yet found a new direction. That's all. Now that the affairs of the outside world have completely ended, Jia Yan can safely continue his new cultivation direction, which he has just begun to explore, and continue it wholeheartedly. Very good. They have done a good job in the war outside, and it has become a protracted situation like this. I don't have to worry too much about the outside world, and can continue to study the new direction I thought of before. But before that, I must tell them, because I will soon be in a small closed cell, and it is impossible for me to accept any problems that arise from the outside world. What Jia Yan was most afraid of was that the outside world would be suddenly captured by the enemy while he was in seclusion, so he sent a message to let the outside army follow the established rules during his days of seclusion. Act on the right path and don't engage in large-scale battles with the enemy. In this case, you can at least delay it for a while. After Jia Yan said this, he fell into a state of near death. My previous strength has been in an explosive growth stage. Now, it is not that easy for my strength to continue to grow, because the galaxy level is originally such a level. If I want to quickly progress is almost impossible, even for those with the best talent, they have to take one step at a time, or it should be said that at the galaxy level, there is no one who is not a genius. I am no exception. I was able to quickly kill so many galactic-level creatures before just because of my strength, which is subspace and yin-yang dao. With these two cheating abilities, my strength will naturally a little stronger than the real level, but that also shows that I still want to continue to advance in strength. Apart from improving my brainwave strength, I have no other choice. Brainwave strength is the least easy to increase in strength. Jia Yan has been thinking that the enemy will attack him because he has grasped this point. If he has been promoted for more than 10 or 20 years, it is estimated that none of them, the 16 powerful ones, would dare to come. After all, Jia Yan is an evolved beast. This point is grasped very well. It just so happens that Jia Yan's strength has just improved to the galaxy level. Even if it is just to stabilize the strength of the galaxy level, it will take at least a few years. Now it is stable, but improvement is another matter. This group of people themselves are at the galaxy level, so they naturally know that even the most talented beings cannot escape this process, so they attacked under this situation. Jia Yan thought about all this for a moment, and then he thought of his current strength. It is indeed difficult to get promoted, but it does not mean that there is no way to increase the strength. It is not absolutely impossible to increase strength and be unable to be promoted together. Even if you are not promoted, you still have the opportunity to increase strength. This is just like today's Jia Yan, using the strength of Yin and Yang Dao and the strength of subspace. These two strengths do not require very high brainwave power. If they make progress, it will also be a huge impact on Jia Yan's own strength. Unfortunately, these two strengths are actually almost at their peak. It is almost extremely difficult to improve. But after I have been in seclusion in this space for so long, I have thought of other ways to enhance my strength, and they are more convenient. Jia Yan thought about it and put forward his plan again. He was trying to take advantage. Since he had all kinds of advantages, why not take advantage of them? In subspace, matter is very chaotic, and I have the strength of subspace, coupled with the strength of Yin and Yang Dao. If I put objects into deep subspace, and even use them as matter and antimatter, what will happen? Jia Yan had already tried this topic once before. That test shocked him a little. Because the Yin and Yang Dao material placed deep in the subspace actually exploded in an instant with terrifying energy that was 5 times more terrifying than the Yin and Yang Dao explosives. You must know that antimatter and antimatter are already the most terrifying explosions that Jia Yan can create, but if they are placed deep in subspace, they can create 5 times more terrifying explosions. This is very important to Jia Yan. It's a new way of thinking. Of course, he can't use it in real life at the deep level of the subline. If he can do such a thing, he will definitely not be a mere beginner of the galaxy level. Jia Yan estimates that such a thing, even if it is a galaxy, even higher level beings can't do it. So this plan is impossible, so he can only look for another way from here. So, he quickly found another way. That is, he can place items into the deep subspace, wait until the item is completely contaminated with the dense air of the subspace, then take the item out, and then create its yin and yang attributes in the outside world. Whether it can be done or not is unknown to Jia Yan, but he knows that something created in this way will definitely lose the power of yin and yang erupting directly in the subspace, but even if it does not have such a terrifying 5 times the power, as long as there is one it's twice as powerful as it is, and it's worth trying for Jia Yan. My yin-yang Dao is already strong. If it were doubled, it would be extremely shocking. A being that could not be beaten before would be killed by throwing such a yin-yang Dao material bomb at it. This would at least increase my combat effectiveness. It also has an extra trump card. Jia Yan had never thought that he would really make an explosive with 5 times the combat power. If he could really make it, he dared to say that he would walk sideways in the middle level of the galaxy, and even the Domain Lord might do it. Fighting, of course, requires the Territory Lord to obediently blow it up for himself. In short, if there is a finished product in this research direction, then Jia Yan will not be afraid of siege. He has subspace talent and such on Myoji bombs. If he prepares a large number of bombs in advance, he will not spend much power during the battle. When the war starts, he will throw out such bombs in large numbers, and none of them will be killed. Galaxy primary level, what about 10? 10 pills won't work, so just 100 pills. Jia Yan almost laughed when he thought about that situation. Very good, this is the right direction, but in addition, I also need to deepen my yin-yang Dao strength. After all, I have previously created joint yin-yang Dao moves for so many people, which also inspired me. In this way, my yin-yang Dao strength should also be improved to a certain extent. Jia Yan has thought about many aspects, but it will take time for these to be realized slowly. So he stopped talking so much nonsense and went directly into practice. The first is the Onmyeto bomb. In the subspace, Jia Yan took an object, which was equivalent to a meteorite from the outside world. It was only a few dozen tons. To Jia Yan's current figure, it was like a small toy. In the subspace of 8 degrees, Jia Yan himself could hardly bear it. This meteorite was specially made, or was specially found. Although it was not an extremely rare material, it was not that simple either. At least within the octave of subspace, Jia Yan helped maintain the surrounding space and stabilized the object without being damaged by the external subspace. Buzz buzz. Jia Yan worked hard to control the decomposition power in the sub-rows so that they would not directly destroy the material in an instant. This kind of thing requires very fine control and can even be tiring. Jia Yan controlled it for a long time, and bit by bit, allowed the chaotic power inside the space to enter the interior of the meteorite without destroying the overall stability of the meteorite. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, he panted and withdrew his strength. By the way, he threw this meteorite-like object back to the 7th level space. It was even so powerful that it passed through the 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th levels in one breath. It didn't stop until it reached the 3rd floor. Because the material of this meteorite is inherently resistant to subdimensional space, there is no danger of it being decomposed in the 3rd level space. After Jia Yan looked at the material, he took out the next meteorite-like object. Continue the previous manufacturing work. All this happened in a short period of time. Although Jia Yan didn't know whether these meteorite objects were useful, for Jia Yan, his operation actually had a certain effect on his yin and yang Dao strength. After all, this is considered a kind of arduous training, and it is within the octave of subspace. For Jia Yan, it is the depth of subspace that is the limit of endurance. So he can also hone his subspace talent. So with several benefits, he carried out the conversion of meteorites for more than half a year. Inside the 3rd level space, countless meteorites, large or small, either relatively perfect or with certain flaws, have been accumulated. Very well, this should be enough for me to experiment with. Half a year later, Jia Yan looked back and saw that there were already so many meteorites in the 3rd floor, so he decided to give up and start researching his own new method of yin and yang Dao explosions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1802. Bulletin U believes that everyone who can read this is true love. There are more than 5 million words. So many words, let alone writing, you are reading it, and I guess you have been reading it for a long time, right? It has been 2.5 years since I started writing the book, which is quite emotional. In fact, the subscription for this book is no longer available, but Bulletin U still continues to write. The authors who are familiar with him have either TJ or have written many new books, but only Bulletin U has still been writing silently for more than 2 years. In fact, I am fulfilling what I said back then, I will write this sentence until I finish it. Although the readers I promised back then must have given up on this book, I am still fighting a personal battle. Not much to say, this is an anti-piracy chapter, Bulletin U just added these emotions. If you see book friends here, I hope you can come and subscribe to this book. Remember, this is the starting point. Bulletin U doesn't want to say too much. I hope everyone can subscribe to the original version, because if you can see it here, I think it is true love. Thank you. Genuine subscriptions are of high quality, thank you. This is an anti-piracy chapter. Book friends who have subscribed to Cheateon.com, don't worry, the first update will be updated at 2250, and the second update will be updated at 2350 official sites other than Kitty and may be slightly slower. www such as QQ Reading, Creation, etc. Note, do not pay for other websites, they are all pirated. Book lovers, please come to cheateon.com to subscribe. Thank you. It only costs a few cents to subscribe to a chapter. If you drop this money on the ground, there are probably not many book friends who bend down to pick it up. It only costs a few UN a month. Such a small amount of money can give Bulletin U more motivation to code. Why are you happy but not doing it? Thank you to all the book friends who have subscribed. It is because of you that Bayu can continue to write. Thank you. I hope everyone can come to cheateon.com to subscribe to the official version. It is even easier for mobile users. Download a Kitty mobile client and you can recharge for reading. Regarding the situation where mobile phone users have subscribed to this anti-piracy chapter and it has not been modified at 2330, this is because the chapter content has been cached in your mobile phone. You can click on the unmodified chapter section in the chapter directory of this book. It's time to let go and choose to update the chapter or re-download it. At the pop-up prompt, it's time to update the chapter. If you have subscribed to this chapter on sites such as Chuangshi or QQ Yunkai, you will not be able to see the chapter content for the time being. You need to wait for the refresh. The starting point is a little slower. Bayu welcomes everyone to go to Chi. Click to subscribe for genuine. You can also add fan group 466122798, chat with other book friends. I would like to apologize for the reading inconvenience caused to everyone. Bayu does not want to prevent piracy, but has no choice but to save this book. I am really sorry. Below is the anti-piracy content to reduce word count. It will become genuine around 11 o'clock. Looking forward to the stars and the moon, we finally have to fight. It took more than 2 months from when this book was published on August 10th to today, October 15th. It has been very difficult to get to this point. To be honest, Bulletin U was a little excited and a little nervous. This book has only been recommended 3 times so far. It can be said that it basically relied on word of mouth to spread it wildly to this point. To tell you the truth, Giant Mosquito only has more than 5,000 collected so far. Do you know what more than 5,000 collected means? There are so many books in the starting point, and more than 5,000 books have been collected and completed. Less than 1% of them are finished, and the rest are all uniques and unfinished books. There is a fire in Bulletin U's heart. This is not because I am angry at the website. After all, Kittian is also a commercial company. They naturally have the means to determine whether a book has commercial value. Since they have determined that Giant Mosquito cannot make money, it is normal not to recommend it. But Bulletin U didn't believe it. This book has received support and encouragement from everyone since its inception, and the comment area is also very lively. Compared with those books that have collected over 10,000 or more, our Mosquito brothers and sisters are more united and enthusiastic. Bulletin U will never forget that Brothers, the tiger who eats pigs, came to comment and give rewards just the second day after the book was published. I will never forget, I laughed and cried after reading it. Brother, because he was anxious for the popularity of this book, he helped publicize and comment everywhere, but his account was banned by Kittian. I will never forget that my little brother Be Better Than Wild took the initiative to help build a readership. I will never forget, brothers and sisters such as Tiendeo Rewards Gene 233, Buried, Quiet, Iraqis, Weavire, Easy Fall, etc., will reward you again and again. In fact, Bulletin U is a person who gives up easily. At his age, he has given up too many things in his life. But when writing this book, everyone can see Bulletin U's persistence. He basically insisted on writing 6,000 plus words every day. In 2 months, he didn't even update for 1 day. How can a person who gives up easily persist until now? The main reason is not that Bulletin U has changed. My tendons hurt every time I hit the keyboard with my fingers. Or a relative comes to visit and it's too late to talk to them. Spent too long on the toilet. The dogs in the pet shop downstairs were so noisy that I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. Approved by other authors. Ignored by the editor. Anyway, a series of messy reasons had affected the writing of the book, and Bulletin even thought about discontinuing the book. But as soon as he opened the page and saw everyone's rewards and comments, Bayu felt so strong that he gritted his teeth and kept writing. To be honest, 2 months is neither long nor short. It is 1/6 of a year and 1/3 of a semester. Bayu has persisted time and time again, all thanks to everyone's help. In fact, the most important key to writing a novel is persistence. Bulletin understands this very well, so every time he has no inspiration, he can only force it out word by word. At that time, he will turn to the comment area to read everyone's messages and see everyone's encouragement. Every time a reward appears, every recommendation ticket comes, Bulletin will feel a sense of joy, and then this joy dilutes the sadness of not being recommended by the website, and continues to tap the keyboard with his sore fingers. At the beginning of this book, I felt that it was still improving a bit. Bayu updated it quickly, and everyone was happy to read it. Perhaps the earliest problem occurred was in an author group in Bayugia. After seeing The Giant Mosquito, an author there once said that this book was updated too fast. He will definitely die in the future. Bayu didn't believe it at that time and even argued with the other party. These authors update 1 chapter every day, and only update 2 chapters when they are recommended, and it is a small chapter with 2,000 words. Some people started the book earlier than me, and it still doesn't have 300,000 words, to put it bluntly, even if they collected up to 10,000 or 20,000, but I really look down on such authors. But they are right. Later, because Bayu updated too quickly, it became the same as the book with the same word count. Editors don't care how fast you update. It's only been a few days since the book was published. They will only put you with the same word count. I don't know how many times it has been recommended on the website. The book is right. The result of this is that the performance of Giant Mosquito is not outstanding, so naturally there is no next recommendation. Those authors once told me that by lowering the profile, there might be opportunities for recommendation in the future. But Bulletin thought about it for a long time and finally rejected it. Because Bayu doesn't want the brothers and sisters who read this book to feel uncomfortable. Maybe if you update more slowly, you will get good recommendations and make yourself less tired. But that would disappoint the brothers and sisters who love this book, and it would even disappoint Bulletin himself. So Bayu insists on 6,000 plus words every day, insisting on the days when there are no website recommendations. In fact, Bulletin has a hope. That is, after it is released, everyone will subscribe to the book and support it, so that editors who are not optimistic about this book will be slapped in the face. They are not optimistic about this book or its commercial value, but if you subscribe to this book, well, it will definitely be a great counterattack. Make the editor's eyes drop all over the place. But Bulletin is also worried about this. If the subscription is too bad, then the last hope is really gone. Bulletin doesn't know what else can make him persist. The actual money for a genuine subscription is really not that much. Even if Bulletin updates 10,000 words every day, it still costs the same as 2 bottles of water or a pack of cheap cigarettes in 1 month. In today's society, who can't afford this little money? The only difference is whether you have this intention or not. If everyone can subscribe and help this book, it will surprise the editors. Bayu can sleep less late, go out less, eat less snacks, and contact friends less. Also make sure to update a lot. Really, everyone likes this book. Bulletin feels like he likes Bulletin as a person. As a person who is not good at expressing himself and is introverted, Bulletin is said by many relatives and friends to have an eccentric personality. But now he has the support of so many friends. Bulletin really very happy. This book will be updated soon in the future. But this premise gives Bayu a little reason to update quickly, a reason to convince himself, his family, and those who point fingers. Otherwise, no matter how happy Bulletin U is to do all this, it is foreseeable that the decrease in income, criticism from his family, and the pointing of outsiders will gradually make Bulletin U feel discouraged, and even big problems will arise and he will no longer be like him. Jump into your own wind. In a word, everyone should support Bayou. Bayou will not talk about family members or illness like other authors, because this is disrespectful to the family. If Bayou really talks about the tragic situation of the family, in fact, what they call the child's illness is, being hospitalized again is much more difficult. But because of this, Bayou will not say it out loud, because my family is not for consumption. Asking for subscription is just my personal behavior. Everyone supports me because they like Bulletin U and my chapter, not because of pity or charity. Bulletin U wants to become equal friends with everyone, rather than a beggar who begs for mercy. In that case, I would rather not write a book. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge won't be that convenient, but please do some research. Whether it's through banknotes, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscriptions, you can recharge Kitty and coins through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And if the average order is 100 per liter, it will be exploded once more. If the average order is lucky enough to reach 1000, it will be exploded directly. Never break your promise. However, to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, we need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, we need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, to achieve this uniform ordering, a screen is needed. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is through banknotes, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscriptions, Kitty and coins can be recharged through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And if the average order is 100 per liter, it will be exploded once more. If the average order is lucky enough to reach 1000, it will be exploded directly. Never break your promise. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen to find Book Garden. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, we need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, to achieve this uniform ordering, a screen is needed. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is through banknotes, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscriptions, Kitty and coins can be recharged through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And if the average order is 100 per liter, it will be exploded once more. If the average order is lucky enough to reach 1000, it will be exploded directly. Never break your promise. However, to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, we need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, we need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, to achieve this uniform ordering, a screen is needed. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kidian recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is through banknotes, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscriptions, Kidian coins can be recharged through various channels. Thank you very much. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, you. This book comes from Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1803. Strength, by its very nature, is a way of exploding power. If a creature has enough explosive power, then it is strong. Of course, this involves things like kinetic energy. A creature has limitations, just like a huge creature. It is generally very strong, and the truly strong ones are almost all huge. This also conforms to certain physical principles. Because an animal is too small, its power is limited. How can it have power if it lacks kinetic energy? Jia Yan is like this. He has grown to a size of more than 10 kilometers today, and his strength has of course increased countless times compared to the original little mosquito. He has barely climbed to the top of the strongest in the entire galaxy. Explosive force. Jia Yan pondered. His yin and yang Dao has already used the power of matter and antimatter. Of course, the power of this explosion cannot be compared with the real matter and antimatter, because Jia Yan does not really have matter and antimatter in his body at all. It can only be said that through the antimatter tree back then understood a certain truth and created the corresponding part of antimatter in the cells. To put it bluntly, this level is just to increase a certain amount of explosive power in Jia Yan's body, making his attack power slightly stronger. But in fact, Jia Yan still has room for improvement. If he truly has the properties of antimatter, he will definitely be able to explode with even more amazing power. In this universe, there are several ultimate forces, such as the annihilation of matter and antimatter, pure attraction such as black holes, and the speed of light. These forces have reached their limits for the universe. And some of them will change the entire universe in the future. Jia Yan was silent, thinking about the nature of power. The nature of power is a question that Jia Yan has long thought about, but now that he is much stronger, when it is mentioned again, it has a different meaning. In the past, Jia Yan thought that after reaching the galaxy level, he might be closer to the universe and understand more about the operation of the universe. But now that he has really reached the galaxy level, looking back, he still doesn't have much understanding of the universe and the ultimate power in the universe. It can even be said that he is ignorant. The universe was so big, like the world in subspace, that Jia Yan suddenly felt that he was further away from understanding the universe and knowing its nature. The more you know, the more you feel like you know nothing. The same is true for the power of explosions. I feel now that my strength is already very strong, but compared to the top powers in the universe, it is still extremely limited. Jia Yan smiled bitterly. He felt that his explosive power was not comparable to the force of ordinary planetary crustal movements. In theory, it would not be a problem for him to explode a planet like the Earth, but in fact this in terms of essential power such as skills, how could he possibly compare to the power possessed by a planet? And even if the explosive power he possesses can blow up the entire Earth, what is an Earth compared to the entire universe? Not even a speck of dust. Jia Yan suddenly thought that the entire universe. In fact, they are all things that may be in the Big Bang. The power of explosions can be infinite. Jia Yan was a little confused. He thought of too many things, but actually he didn't think of anything. This feeling was like an epiphany, but not entirely an epiphany, because in this real world, there is no such thing as an epiphany in Earth novels. It's just that Jia Yan's knowledge points that he understood a lot flashed through his mind. This may actually be an explosion at a certain moment when knowledge and insights have been accumulated to a certain extent. Yes, this is also a type of explosion. I don't know how long it has passed, it seems like several years, and it seems like only a second has passed. Call. Jia Yan let out a deep breath. I understand. Every explosion is not just about its power. The power of the explosion does not mean that bigger is better. If a soul is added to the explosive power, then this explosion is not an ordinary explosion, but an explosion with a soul. When Jia Yan thought about his insights, he always vaguely felt that it was quite funny, but in fact, he really understood the nature of explosions in this way, which was also the direction for his future research. For Jia Yan, the power of explosion is just one type of strength he possesses, but recently, it has gone hand in hand with subspace talent and has become one of his powerful methods. Jia Yan is not so pedantic, because this power was first studied by his subordinates and would not be used. He had even gone through everything about this subordinate and studied the power of this explosion to that subordinate. To an extent that is probably unimaginable. But now, he was feeling this way just because he truly understood the powerful direction of the explosion. The power of the explosion, if you just let it explode, it is just an explosion. If you use the same power to control the explosion, for example, it is like the pulse energy of some celestial body explosion, which ripples in one direction. Although the total amount has not changed, the force in the main attack direction is definitely beyond imagination, and may be several times or even dozens of times greater than what it should have withstood. This is the direction I want to research in the future, which is to research explosions with their own thoughts. Jia Yan figured it all out silently. Things that are easy to understand are just like the bullets of people on Earth. If gunpowder explodes in the air, it will just be a louder firecracker. But if you let them explode in a fixed direction and then push a bullet moving forward can cause human casualties. This is the result of controlling the explosion. Jia Yan is studying all his powers in the subspace. As for the outside world, because of Jia Yan's disappearance, the situation on the entire battlefield began to become calm. Jia Yan asked the outside fleets to delay as much time as possible, so they did so. Generally speaking, Jia Yan would not let his subordinates die in vain, even if he thought that such an approach would allow the enemy to smell something, and then attack the Orion arm as much as he wanted to test Jia Yan's ability. Do what? But even so, even if the enemy captured some territory again, Jia Yan still asked the fleet to reduce casualties as much as possible. People-oriented is the leadership style that Jia Yan hopes most. Even if he doesn't have much sense of belonging to the other creatures in the Orion arm other than Earth people, even now, he can't remember how many races and how many countries there are in the Orion arm, but in fact, to this day, Jia Yan has still helped many countries and civilizations in the Orion arm. Even for these countries and civilizations that he didn't know much about, he didn't want too many soldiers in these places to die. After all, Jia Yan is such a person. And because of this, the enemy did feel something. What's going on? That Orion arm seems to be a little less powerful in counterattack. Are they delaying for some time? It's indeed a bit weird. Although I don't think they will have any way to deal with us even if they delay. But we can't let them get what they want. That's right, let's just launch a larger scale attack. If the Orion arm wants to delay, it will have to pay the price of territory. The 16th Allied forces were extremely sensitive to the Orion arm's delaying tactics, and in an instant, they were all ready to attack. After all, they were all from the Star Territory who had a lot of war experience. They all acted in unison, without even saying hello, and launched a desperate attack. Under such circumstances, the Orion arm still refused to fight. The fleet retreated one after another, fighting and retreating, trying to maintain the size of the fleet instead of fighting to the death with these intruders. It's weird, it's too weird. Didn't this Orion arm refuse to give us some territory before? It feels like they are maintaining their final counter-attack force instead of consuming their remaining energy. Could it be that they are waiting for something? Jia Yan, it's definitely Jia Yan. If it weren't for him, how could he have the power to make the people in the Orion arm think that they have any chance of winning? No matter what Jia Yan is up to, we must speed up the attack quickly to induce Jia Yan to stop what he is doing, otherwise I always have a bad feeling. Yes, although I don't believe there is anything else Jia Yan can do, but if the time comes he uses some despicable method to drag a few of us to death together, it won't be worth it. Yes, it's time for us to come forward together. Humph, several high-ranking subordinates of the stars died before. I haven't avenged this revenge on these Orion arm people. Now is the time. After the Orion arm adopted an evasive fighting method, the 16 major coalition forces that had taken advantage were actually different from the last time they also invaded the depths of the Orion arm. This time, they did not take any measures after the invasion. It felt like they had been waiting for something. This time they directly attacked the inside of the Orion arm, and then continued to move forward. This time, it felt like he was trying to capture the Orion arm in one go. Huh? They actually sent 5 high-level stellar creatures. We go to war. At the corner of the Orion arm, the 3 mid-level stellar creatures are none other than the 3 subordinates of Jia Yan's team. The leader among them is Tianyi Alang, who is known as the strongest among Jia Yan's subordinates. He led 2 other members of Jia Yan's team to fight together. This time he heard that the incoming creatures were high-level creatures from the 5 stars. For other strong men, it was impossible to defeat such beings. Only the 9 strong stars like them could defeat them. So Tianyi Alang led the other 2 people to face the enemy together. Sir, I feel that there is something wrong with these people from the 16th National Congress. They have never launched such a large-scale attack on us before. This time they actually want to attack the inside of our Orion arm. For them, this is not a problem. Good thing. Hey, these guys must have felt something. Yes, Your Excellency is in retreat. But originally, I didn't have much hope for this retreat, but now these coalition guys have become anxious. It shows that your retreat may be effective, but I am looking forward to it. That's right, these coalition members are galactic-level powerhouses. Maybe they felt something before us. But be careful this time. The existence of the 5 high-level stars may not be true. Maybe behind these 5 high-level stars, there are still peak-level stars. If we are careless, we may be dead. Character. Don't worry, Your Excellency has given us the thing to save our lives, and this time he has sent a new thing. We should be able to withstand top-level stellar attacks. Not only are the mid-level powerhouses of the 3 stars not afraid of the 5 high-level stars, they are not even afraid of the peak star-level powerhouses that may exist behind these high-level stars. This is only the strong men in Orion's arms who dare to do this. In other places, let alone the 5 strong men who are a small level higher than themselves, even if they are the same mid-level star, but there are more on their side. The 2 of them are not strong men in the star field, and they dare to say that they can deal with the enemy. These 3 mid-level stellar beings went into battle together. Boom boom boom. It's really amazing. The strongest member of the Orion arm, other than Jia Yan, actually defeated the top 5 of our stars with only 3 of them, and none of them had the slightest ability to fight back. Damn it, I'm almost reaching the peak of the star. I thought I could handle them alone, but I didn't expect that I couldn't defeat them even if I teamed up with you. Run, run, run. The 5 high-level star-level beings and the 3 mid-level star-level beings led by the cowherd were defeated in one breath, and they were simply defeated. The fleet behind Jia Yan's team also took the opportunity to cover them up. But just when everyone thought that this war would be won like this. Buzz. In the starry sky, an earth-shaking ripple appeared. It's coming, it must be the star peak existence that is about to take action. It has been prepared for a long time. Haha, come on, one of them is here to die, two of them might be interesting. Three of them, at worst we can run away. Tianyi Alang and other members of the three major Jiayan squads not only showed no fear of the coming presence, but instead felt a bit of fighting spirit. But when the sense of power in the ripples becomes clearer and clearer. What? This is, star, galaxy level, impossible. When that power was fully revealed, the three members of Jia Yan's team were all horrified. Because they felt that the coming power was by no means as simple as a high-level star, but, a power that could only be possessed by those with galaxy-level strength. Escape. The Galaxy class actually takes action personally. There is absolutely no chance for us to win. Run, run, run.